I feel like this vlog is going to be a little different, and I can't decide how I want to like film this and release this, because I feel like this topic and this journey is a little, I wouldn't say controversial, but some people deem it as too private and should not be shared public, and some people want to see the journey. So this, I'm kind of leaning towards, I don't know, you'll see this when you see this, but I'm leaning towards filming this whole process, and then at the end, hopefully with a successful ending, releasing like a journey video. I don't know, I keep going back and forth. So you will see this when you see this. It is Tuesday, November 14th, and it is the day of our, finally the day of our fertility appointment. So let's back up a little bit. I didn't have my vlog channel the last time we went through this, and it was something I debated on filming last time, and I probably have a few clips still from our journey and Cruz's like birth and like at the ending that I could put in right here. Today is October 7th. It is shot day. My anxiety is at an all-time high. If that's okay, we're gonna do this. I have to do this. It has to happen at noon. It is 11:55. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and get going because I just don't know if I can just sit here any longer. So I have my shot. I just took it out of the package. I have alcohol swabs to clean it, the area, gauze if I bleed, band-aids, instructions. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna do it on this side of my belly. Alcohol swab it. My heart is racing so freaking high. Holding my syringe, I'm gonna take off the lid. A little dot thing. That is so freaking sharp. Okay. And I'm gonna flick it so all the bubbles go to the top. Press it just a little. So it's coming out. Okay. I'm gonna squeeze my belly. And then I just have to put it in, release the skin, and plunge. Oh my god, I did it. Okay. It wasn't that bad. Oh my god.
You can do it. It's okay.
Sweaty.
I know, and you're shaking. It's just going to be okay. You've done it once. You know how to do it. It's okay. Push it in. There you go. There you go. Hold up. You're done.
I hate it.
I know.
It may be easy, but it's hard up here.
I don't doubt that.
Burning inside.
Okay. Oh! No way! No way! What do you mean? You don't know if it's real?
If it's real or not.
It's gotta be real. Why are you shaking?
I don't know because I don't know how to handle it.
Why'd you do that though? You're not supposed to
There's
do
got
that.
this weird feeling. I've been watching all day. So I'm just
So
like,
you just
okay, I'm
did
gonna
it,
take
okay.
it.
Good.
I don't know if it's real. What about your friend? We're just gonna start over. So for those of you that don't know, my husband and I were told we were infertile. No reason, just unexplained infertility after 2 years, a little over 2 years of trying for our first child. And as you know, we do have Cruz now, and we did that by going to Reproductive Resource Center in Overland Park, Kansas with Dr. Braubeck, and we did that through IUI. We did not do IVF, thankfully. I do have family and friends that have gone through that, and I cannot imagine that journey. But that also doesn't mean my journey wasn't hard either, I guess is what I should say. I've seen some people post like on social media like, oh, we just did IUI. Like, no, that is still hard on your body. That is still a journey, and you should feel like valid in your feelings of like, that is your journey. That was hard. That wasn't easy. Like, and it's hard on your body and your emotions. And I found myself watching YouTube videos back when I was trying for cruise, all the time, like about people trying and the trying to conceive community, and videos of people going through IUI and IVF because we weren't sure which route we were going to have to take. And I like to watch those and like relate to them. I feel like you don't understand it until you go through it, but I also feel like it's more common now because people are actually talking about it, and social media is portraying like these women's journeys in IUI or IVF. So that's enough of that. I'm sure I'll bring that up many times, but I didn't vlog Cruz's experience or our experience with getting pregnant. I was turned away from multiple doctors' offices telling me nothing's wrong, just keep trying, like you're not understanding how you get pregnant, and giving me timelines of when to do the deed to get pregnant. I'm like, I understand that. And it's not working. So it took 2 years to finally get to a doctor that was like, look, I apologize it's taken you this long, but let me get you help. There was a test ordered that day. I met with this doctor to get the process going for Scott and I, and we got a referral into an infertility office right after those test results were back. Like, it was boom, boom, boom. Where have you been for the last 2 years? Like, why haven't I found you prior? But this is the start of possibly baby number 2. And I feel like I was pretty open with Cruz's pregnancy, or like trying to conceive of him, on Instagram. And I will not, and I feel like Facebook. I did post some stuff to Facebook. I think I'm careful on Facebook because of family and like coworkers on there. Like, but at the same time, this is my story. This is so real. Like, so many women go through this, and even worse, like with IVF and multiple rounds that do not work. We were very lucky to have Cruz in 2 IUI sessions, but that doesn't mean our journey wasn't hard, and how we got there wasn't hard. So I guess, I don't know, I'm probably just going to share a little too much, and if it's helpful, great. If it's not, don't watch. I don't really know. I feel like I watched these videos back when we were trying for Cruz, like I said, and they were so helpful. Like, I don't care if it was too much information. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that makes sense. I felt that too. Like, and no one had ever told me that. So like, just little things like that of how your hormones and how you feel during processes with different shots, pills, anything with the whole thing. I also feel like the process is very not out there. Like, if you Google it, it's like, here's what it is, but there's no like real testimonies on it, unless you find like these YouTube videos. So this is November 2023, the 14th, and this is the start of our journey for possibly baby number 2. We have been off birth control for 4 months, which is early, I know. But I went to see my doctor who gave birth to Cruz, and I was telling her, like, we do want baby number 2 sooner than later, great, because Scott will be 35 in January, and I just turned 33. And I know that's not old, but I also don't want to be 40 still trying to have a baby. So the sooner the better. Since I've already been in the fertility office, I can just call and tell them I'm ready for baby number 2, and they put me on the wait list. So I actually did that back in, I want to say it was July. What's your earliest appointment? Can we put my name on the list? And it was November. And so they will call you if they have cancellations and can get you in. But in my case, they did not, and that's okay because they weren't quite ready, and we wanted to try a little bit on our own to see if we could get pregnant, which I know 4 months is soon, and we probably still could have a chance of getting pregnant. But the fact of the matter is we went through so much with trying to have Cruz that I just don't know if I can get pregnant on my own. So that is what today's appointment is. It's more of a consultation appointment, again, with the same office. We are going to meet. Scott's going to get tested again. The statistics are out there, but men are a very high statistic of infertility. Like, I think people always assume the woman is the problem. Not the problem, but like an issue is wrong. But it's really true that men have a really high statistic of being the issue or having something like a low count or something like that. Scott has been perfectly fine the last few times we've gotten tested for Cruz, but it's just part of the process. Like, they're going to check him just to be sure. And then we're going to have an ultrasound today, and then basically talk the plan of attack today and the payment plan. If you don't know, infertility is pretty much not covered for most people's insurance. It's wild to me how much insurance does cover, but they don't cover women's infertility. I'm lucky that my job, my insurance is pretty good, and they do cover a small portion. I want to say like 30% of certain stuff if you do certain things. So there's like certain medicines they would want you to try first before doing some stuff. And I can't remember exactly, but last year we had to try 6 months of letrozole, I think it was, before they would cover anything. So it's kind of why I'm starting this process a little earlier than probably most would for baby number 2. I want to get the ball rolling. I want to see what their thoughts are, and maybe they want to wait, that's fine. But we're just going to kind of see what the process is and what my insurance will cover and what is needed to get some insurance to cover. So I feel like I'm getting way off topic, but my mind is going a million miles an hour.
One, two, three, four. Paper planes fly me to out.
It's the next day, and I figured I'd give a little update because we didn't update you after the appointment yesterday. We went and got Cruz from school and just came home and had our normal night, decorated for Christmas, which we'll see in another vlog. But the appointment went pretty good. We were there for like 3 hours, which I had a feeling we would be. I'm parked in a parking lot, by the way. And it was more of like a consultation. What do you want to do? What should our plan be? And then we had to meet with like the financial department so that we could cover that. We had to show up a little early because Scott had to get tested, like a semen analysis. Before Scott had gotten tested about 3 years ago, obviously before Cruz, and everything was perfect. And it turns out they give you the results at that same appointment. So he was totally fine. His count was beyond great and nothing to worry about. So that kind of checks a box off. Like I was saying, male infertility is pretty high. It's higher than you think. So they always just check on that before they do any other procedures. Then we had a consultation. They did like my body weight and heart rate, and everything else was fine. And then we had a consultation of like, what did we do last time? They asked some questions about Cruz's birth and how did it go. But basically I was induced. I went in for an induction on my due date, so he was full term, but he didn't want to come out. So after pushing for 2.5 hours, homeboy got stuck and he was too far down to be pushed back up to go to an emergency C-section. His heart rate started to plummet, and so did mine. So they did a vacuum situation. And I had never heard of that before. I knew they at some point had used like forceps in the past, but I don't think they do that anymore. And I never read about a vacuum birth, and so I panicked in my birth and fully trusted my doctor, though. I was like, do what you gotta do to get homeboy out. So after like 3 different attempts of the suction popping off of his head, he finally came out. I pretty much hemorrhaged and had an episiotomy, which is basically where they have to cut you from front to back to get him out. Like, he was massive. He had a big old head, and I bled out a lot. My placenta also like broke into pieces all in my body, and so another ultrasound tech and a doctor had to come in, and they had to scrape out pieces of my placenta out of me, and that was the most uncomfortable feeling. But anyways, I had to tell all these details. Cruz ended up being okay. His bruise, like hematoma, I think is what they call it, I think it's a bruise, on his head went down within like 2 or 3 days. He didn't have any other signs. I guess like it can cause a lot of like brain damage and stuff if something happened. So a whole team came in when I was giving birth, like a NICU team, but luckily we didn't have to use it. He got checked out and he was great. But I had to like share all that because that's part of like what's going on with my body and what had happened. So we talked about that, and then we talked about like what do we want to see as our plan for the next baby, and we basically discussed doing IUI again, but pairing it with the letrozole like we did last time, and they are totally on board with that. They made it a point, like they pointed out that like IVF is a higher chance for like our situation. But Scott and I, before going into that appointment, which I'm glad we talked about, agreed that that wasn't going to be the first option for us financially because it's just so expensive. So we are going to do IUI for however many times they recommend. Last time it was only 3 or 4 because after so many IUIs, like the chances of getting pregnant actually go down no matter what your circumstances for infertility. So we got pregnant with Cruz after 4 months of letrozole and some other like progesterone, and which I say that word wrong, just know that that's not how you say it, and some other things I had to take. And then I did 2 letrozole after the 4 months with IUI, and we got pregnant on the second one. The first one did not take. So that's kind of our game plan. Again, I just basically want to repeat if possible. Then, so we agreed on that. Everything was good. And then I went in for my ultrasound. They just go in and check and make sure like where you at in your stage of like where your period is in your cycle day. And I'm at the point, and this is TMI, but I'm at the point where I'm probably going to ovulate in the next few days. So she was just checking. I told her my last day of my period, and she was just checking like what my insides look like compared to where I should be on my cycle. And to be honest, it kind of got a little scary. She like stopped talking and like kept making weird faces and turned the screen away, and I was like, okay, is something wrong? So I said, what, is everything look okay? And she's like, well, I'm trying to get a good picture. There's like a bunch of little like cyst type things showing up all over your ovarian walls, like on my ovaries. And she just, I don't know, she just like paused. She's like, I can't really tell you what they are, but I'm trying to take a picture so that we can document them. And she pulled the screen over and like showed me what they looked like, and it looked like she even said it was like Christmas, because they like lit up on the sonogram. And it was like my ovaries were here, like the wall of them, and it was like dot 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 like all over. And I was like, okay, so what, should I be concerned? I've never had anyone mention that before, or that had not been a topic of discussion ever. Like those haven't been there, like those are new. And so she's like, so the fact that they're new, and I was just looking through your chart, like they are new. This is not something that's ever been documented. So she measured them, took pictures, and was documented. And she's like, you have a couple choices. There is a test called an SHG, which is like it's a saline infusion sonohistogram. So basically, I have had an HSG, which is where they go in to make sure your fallopian tubes aren't clogged or like blocked, and they basically put a catheter in and they shoot some dye up there, and your hips are like raised, and they are looking at it, and you have to move your hips back and forth to see if the dye goes in and out. I've had that before. To be honest, I would rather push 10 babies out than do that test again. I don't know what it was, but it was not fun. It's the most uncomfortable hour of my entire life. I left crying and bawling. So when she said SHG, I was like, is that anything like HSG? Because I say no. And she starts laughing. She goes, I've had many patients tell me that the HSG is 10 times more uncomfortable and so painful compared to the SHG. But she pretty much recommended that that's what we do, because I would rather start with a clean slate, figure out what that is inside of me, and give the baby or potential baby a chance to actually be made and like have a healthy home to where it's at. Basically the test, they put a catheter in, it's in their office, inpatient, you don't have to be put out or anything. You put a catheter in, and they shoot saline up there, so it like kind of blows it up, so they can put the scope and ultrasound in to see the inside of the wall instead of the outside where you see the dots. You can actually see what they are. So regardless, I have to kind of wait a little bit. The way my cycle falls, I won't be able to do one this month, which is November, and then I won't be able to do one in December, just the way my period will fall within their office being closed. So long story short, within the next month, when my period starts in November, I will call the doctor. Me and Scott will both do blood work on certain days of my period. Well, for me, Scott can do it anytime, but it's part of the process. They want to test all my hormone levels, and I have to do a pee test and some other things during that week of my period. Once the period's done this month, then I will go in for the SHG in their office, and they like to do it right after your period because your lining is thinner, I guess is what they said. And like I said, I'm not an expert, so I'm just taking what I've learned and heard and trying to tell you in real life. So we'll do that test, get the results, and then go from there. We are back in the bathroom for a little life update. It's been a couple weeks since I last updated because we had to wait for like my cycle to start. It is now December 4th, so I figured I would give an update of what's happening right now. So we're waiting for my cycle to start, and it started yesterday, which was Sunday, so I couldn't call the office. They're closed on Sundays. So I waited and called this morning. So basically my plan of care was to call when that started, and then they would get me some birth control sent in to my pharmacy and to start immediately. So they called that in, and so I will start that birth control tonight. And they are gonna have to call me back because the saline that they need for that test, they are on back order, or it's like a shortage going on. So they want to make sure that they have it in stock, or like can get it to do the test. So I'm waiting for a call back on that, which is kind of frustrating, but at the same time, I can wait, like it's okay. But I need the results of that to see if we can jump into trying fertility treatments in January. So if all is okay and they don't seem to be like a risk for anything, they can stay in there basically, then we can probably start everything in January. If for some reason they see them and they think maybe we need to go in and clean them out and biopsy them and do that kind of thing, that type of surgery, or that will require surgery, and I will probably have to be postponed maybe a month, maybe 2, depending on like how invasive that is. Mommy got her blood drawn, and now I got my boy. Good morning. It is December 11th, and I just got out of my appointment a minute ago. I called Scott. I'm waiting for my Starbucks to be done. I ordered myself a little treat. I had a free drink, so I'll share that when I get it. But I just got done with my fertility appointment. I had an SHG done at the fertility clinic, which I highly recommend. If you have to do one of those tests, if you're already at a fertility clinic, do it there. They know what they're doing. It's quick and easy, seamless. I went in, you hook a catheter up, you shoot saline, and they used iodine too, but it's saline, and they pull it out so the catheter stays in, and they still like shoot it, and then they put a wand in there for an ultrasound, so you have that up to you. And this might be TMI, but then they just like go through everything, look at all of it, freeze frame everything, look to make sure everything's good. Basically she said it looks great, like there's nothing to be concerned about. It could have been anything on the ultrasound originally, but it's nothing to like be concerned about at all. So no more further like tests or surgeries that need to be done, so I'm very excited about that, and we'll get to kind of start stuff back up in the new year. The labs are closed the last couple weeks in December, so that we really can't do much since we need the labs to like, you know, make everything do everything. So yeah, that's kind of what's going down, and I'm gonna get myself a Starbucks and go back to work. I took some like sick time to come do this appointment. My company is super generous and like aware of what's going on. I told my boss like, hey, I may be in and out a couple times a month. I may know ahead of time, I may know a day, because like once I start getting into stuff, sometimes it's a day, like, hey, come get an ultrasound today, and then tomorrow it's like, oh, by the way, come in and do this procedure, and then you're out all day. So like I may be last minute getting out of work a little bit, but my company is very just considerate, and I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. They just get it. Life happens, and like it's okay, and I still get my job done. So Starbucks, grab that, go home. Also another update, they called and told me we're good to go. So I'm gonna take birth control. I'm gonna take only the active days. I'm gonna have to go get another pack. So basically I'm skipping my period or making it push out farther. I'm gonna get another pack of birth control, and I'm gonna keep taking the yellow active days until the 26th, which is the day after Christmas. And then, before I get like my wording wrong, I took a screenshot so I wouldn't forget and sent it to Scott, but it's also like in my portal. So then on the 31st, so 5 days later, I'm gonna start letrozole, and I'm gonna take letrozole until the 4th, January 4th will be my last pill. Then on January 8th, which is a Monday, right after that, I will go in for an ultrasound to see what my okay, that word is so hard for me to say. Follicles. You know what I'm trying to say, the growth. I just see what the follicles, I can't say the growth looks like, and if we're good to go that week to start the trigger shot at home. We're looking like an IUI around Scott's birthday, which is January 10th. So sometime that week, and then we'll do the 2-week wait and pray and hope it's stuck. So I need to make sure I order another thing of birth control they sent over. They also sent over the letrozole to my pharmacy, and they sent over, what else? Prometrium also, and I want to say that's for post IUI. I'll have to look that up again, but I think it goes vaginally up and it's post IUI to help support everything. And then I also need to order my trigger shot. So the trigger shot is from a different company. It's called Freedom Fertility Pharmacy, and you have to call them and kind of schedule the delivery. You have to be here when it picks up because it's in like its own like cooler thing, and then you have to be here to sign, and you have to pay over the phone. It's like a different, but like my insurance does cover some of it, but that's the particular pharmacy that it covers through. So I have to call them and order that. I plan on doing that next week, and it's becoming real. So I called Scott to tell him all this, and he was like, oh, it's happening. It's happening way faster than I thought. I really thought we, because of the holidays, weren't going to be able to do trigger shot and IUI until like end of January, possibly February. But I'm so excited, and maybe being Scott's birthday means good luck. I don't know. It is January 2nd evening, and I just took day 3 of my letrozole. I started my period last Friday, and I had a period for like 3 days, and you're supposed to start letrozole on day 3. So I did that on Sunday, which was also New Year's Eve. And like I said, this is day 3. I've been taking it at night. I remember last time taking it and feeling really sick all day and like nauseous and super tired. So I switched it and took it at night, which I think is okay as long as you take it at the same time every day. So I've been taking it between 8:30 or 8 and 8 to like 9, somewhere in between there. It's usually like around 8:30 the last 2 nights, and I've been taking it around 8:30 every night, and like give or take. And I just, a few symptoms, I'm just like sick to my stomach after I take it. Like I'm very bloated, like I look like about 2 or 3 months pregnant, and I'm just really like gassy feeling. I'm not actually gassy, but my stomach feels like that. I'm just really nauseous, like don't feel well. And I will say I am very tired. Like motivation is lacking during the day, but I think it's helping taking it at night. So that's just a little update. We are going in for an ultrasound on January 8th, and that's probably where I'll pick up. I have 2 more nights of letrozole. You take it for 5 days and then go back to normal. So I'll stop taking it on Thursday evening, and then that following Monday I'll have an ultrasound to check everything out. So back up, I explained that we took letrozole, which is a estrogen blocker, I think is what I'm saying that correctly. And basically when we went in today for the ultrasound to check to see if the medicine's doing its thing and we're ready for the next steps, it is to count how many follicles are growing on my ovaries. And you need that follicle growth to move forward to do the IUI. Like you can't get pregnant if you don't have any follicles growing for the time of ovulation. So like I said, I did this with Cruz's pregnancy, and I hate to like compare because that was 3 years ago. I have already had a baby and things can change, but I think I keep looking back and like thinking about the last time I did this and comparing. And last time we did this, I did 6 months of letrozole, and the last 2 I paired with IUIs. And each time I did an ultrasound after letrozole for 6 months, every time for 6 months, there was follicle growth when I did my ultrasound checkup, which was great. That's what you want to see. That's what you have to see to move forward. So I went in today's appointment thinking there will be follicle growth. And so the only negative that could have come out of that today is there's too much follicle growth. So if there's too much, sometimes they cancel the cycle and you start over next month to lower the dose to have less follicle growth, because you don't want to have like 8 babies. Like you want, maybe some people do, but they won't do the cycle if it's way too many, because it's just not, it's not healthy in a sense. So, which with Cruz's pregnancy, we did have a few follicles that they were like, are you sure you want to go forward? You could possibly have twins. And at the time we had no kids, so I was like, absolutely, let's just keep going. Like, let's just do it, which we didn't end up having twins. It was just Cruz, but they do check for those things, which is great. So when I walked in today, Scott and I were in a great mood. Scott met me there. Didn't even think anything possible. And she started to look in she started the ultrasound, and she's kind of like, huh, and like doesn't really say much. And if you've ever had one of those, like for fertility, or maybe like right when you're getting pregnant, the like wand ones that go up, they're just uncomfortable. And she was in there for about 20-25 minutes. So it was just so uncomfortable, but I'm just staring at the ceiling. Was listening to freaking Justin Bieber singing, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, she's not saying much. And she's like, there's just not any follicle growth, like none whatsoever. She shows me the ultrasound and all of the little pieces inside each, and she's counting them, taking pictures, and there's just not any growth. Let me look at your charts and let's come up with a game plan. So I'm like, okay. And I'm already almost crying because this sounds so silly. Like, I actually kind of feel stupid comparing my journey or like feeling upset about my journey because it's IUI. I have a baby. I have a healthy 2-year-old, and I got him through IUI, which is so minimal and not a big deal, I guess you could say, compared to like the families and couples I know that have gone through IVF, so many rounds of IVF without having a baby, or going through so many rounds of IVF and having a baby. Like, I don't know why I'm crying. I guess I just feel stupid, but I also have to remind myself that my feelings are valid. Like, if it's hard for me, it's hard for me, and I should feel that. Like, I shouldn't feel like I am stupid. Like, I should feel like that, but I guess I just feel that way because I don't ever want to come off like, oh, Calli has it so bad. Calli does this like so bad. Like, it's such a bad journey. Like, because it's not a bad journey, but I'm also sad about it. Like, I don't want to have to be going to the doctors for appointments to have a baby. I don't want to have 20 ultrasounds a month. I don't want to be on medicine that makes me bloated all the time to be able to have follicle growth, to have a baby. I don't want my husband to do his thing in a cup to put inside me because that's the only way we can seem to get pregnant. Like, I don't want that. I want to just have fun, get pregnant, and be normal, I guess you could say. But at the same time, nothing's normal. Like, everyone's journey is normal to them. And that's what I keep telling myself. But I also, like, when people reach out to me, because I'm pretty open about like my fertility journey, maybe not this time, I haven't really posted too much on like social media yet about it, but with Cruz I was pretty open. I like said when we did our IUIs, I said when it failed, and I said when we did the next one, and I showed taking my one shot, which again feels stupid because people with IVF take multiple shots, multiple days for multiple weeks, like end on end on end, and they're freaking superheroes. Like, I don't know how someone mentally and physically is so strong to do that. So when I like complain or feel sad or scared about my one shot every IUI and taking a pill every night or taking medicine every day, like, I don't know, it just feels stupid. So I don't know if stupid's the right word, but I feel pathetic, I guess. I feel like it's not very valid for me to be this sad about it. But the end goal is to have a baby. And if I can't get pregnant by myself, then I'm going to do what it takes to get pregnant. And Scott and I have talked, like, if these IUIs do not work, will we do IVF? And at this point in time, I do not think we will because of money, because it's so expensive. And I just can't, we can't do it right now. There's just no way. Now we could revisit that in a year, but we're a year older. Cruz is a year older, and I don't know. We're gonna have to reevaluate if that happens, but that's all the stuff that processed through my mind when she was telling me there's literally no follicles. So there's my pity party for the day. I cried a little bit on the way home from the doctor too, but like I said, I just feel not like I shouldn't be this sad. It's not that bad. It could be worse, which I know it could be worse. Like, I know that I have personal friends and family that have it worse, like have it to where maybe they can't get pregnant, or maybe it does take IVF and they don't want or can't afford it. They don't want to proceed with that, or those that have done IVF so many times and just haven't had a success. I don't know. I just feel bad. I feel bad for them. I wish I could take their place. I don't know. Fertility is so freaking weird because you could have it so bad, so worse, I don't know, fertility is just so freaking weird. I literally want to fix everyone's fertility problems in the whole world. I wish I could. I am so grateful to have Cruz Man, a healthy little boy, and I'm gonna squeeze on him so hard tonight when he gets home. And I'm so grateful for my husband, always going to every appointment with me, and just the set of doctors and team we have. Like, I literally couldn't ask for better in general. I just need my body to cooperate. So I've never had to do this, but now we are going to have to do a second round of letrozole for this one cycle. So I'm starting letrozole. I called earlier today to get a refill, starting it tonight and taking it again tonight through Thursday. So I'm doing 4 days of it. It was 5 days last time. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night I'll take it again, and then Friday morning I'm gonna go in for another ultrasound to do the same thing I did this time, check for follicle growth. And all I can do is hope and just pray, and I don't send all the good juju that there's some follicle growth on Friday, and then we will see what happens. This is night 3 of my second round of letrozole, and I will say the headaches are still here and still strong. I did sleep on my neck wrong, so it's making it worse, so it has nothing to do with that. But the bloat, you guys, is so real. Like, this is so hard and so uncomfortable. Look what finally arrived. It's supposed to be here on the 9th. It is now the 11th. So I'm really hoping that the ice packs in here are still intact. It's so cold outside, so I'm really, really hoping with the snowstorm, this was just so late. Oh, they're still pretty cold. They're not frozen by any means, but on a grill. We're back again. Okay, so a little car update before we head home. Our literal appointment was only 20 minutes long.
45-minute drive for 20 minutes.
10 minutes. It's early. Anyways, they did a ultrasound to check everything again. I was on 4 more days of letrozole, which I've already explained everything. There's like some follicle growth, but like not enough for them to do anything. And they're afraid I might have already ovulated a little bit, so, or not ovulated a little bit, you either ovulated or you don't. But part of it they were looking at makes them think that I might have ovulated, but then other parts make them think I don't, because there is some follicle growth, but not enough to do an IUI. So I ended up doing blood work to check my, I can't say that
progesterone
level, and that will tell them if I've ovulated and if I haven't. The goal would be not to ovulate, or had not ovulated already. So then I would start letrozole again tonight and Saturday and Sunday, and I'd come back in Monday for a scan. That's what we're hoping for at this point. But if I've already ovulated, then we basically have to wait. I have to wait for my period to start. We'll have to start over. So, a little frustrating because this has never happened. I was telling her I've never had this issue with the 6 months of letrozole I did last time. But that was also 3 years ago. So she said everything could change because I've already given birth, and like things, your body can just change. But she said usually it changes for the better after you give birth is usually what happens. Like it kind of resets everything. But we'll just see. So kind of at a standstill until they call us.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be.
Somebody was pretty confident.
And definitely
going into this.
was way too positive going into this. So back to work we go. Okay, see. Oh, it's so cold. Mom got me a coffee, so we're off to the doctor's appointment. It's Martin Luther King Day, so it's January 15th, I think. Yes, and I'm off work. My camera's bouncing around, and Cruz is out of daycare. I'm currently in the doctor's office's parking lot, and Cruz is with my mom this morning. My mom brought me coffee when she came to watch Cruz this morning. This appointment took a little bit longer, and I went in, did the same thing. I did blood work last Friday. I forgot to mention that. I did blood work last Friday because they were thinking maybe I had ovulated already, which would already which would basically end the process. I would have to start over and wait for my period, start all over. Again, TMI if no one cares about this, and I keep fidgeting with my hair. So I took blood work. Turns out they called me Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, I can't remember, but turns out I had not ovulated, so continue the medicine. Continuing the medicine came in this morning. We do have follicle growth. It's just not crazy big, but I do have okay, so I came in this morning and we do have follicle growth. I have about 10 on my left side and like 4 on my right side, but there's 3 total that are like big enough that could possibly do what needs to be done when I trigger shot and do the insemination. So now we're at a point where I have too many. Typically when they have 2 or 3, they always consult with the family, like, are you okay with possibly having twins and possibly having triplets? Scott and I have talked about it, and I'm like, I don't think we could afford it, but the chances of it actually grabbing all 2 or 3 is very, very slim. So the percentages of getting pregnant with IUI when you have infertility is like 13%. And then it's less than that to grab actually 2 or 3 for just IUI. I know IVF, it's a little bit bigger, like percentages, but follicle growth has to be around 20. She said like average of 18 to 21 to like do the trigger shot at home. I have one that is at 17, and then I have one that is at 11 and 13. So the possibility of 3 is very there, like it's there, and it's really scary if that is the possibility. But also they grow like 1 to 2, whatever the measurement is, a day. So she said if we did this, like we would have to trigger tonight, which is Monday, and possibly do IUI tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So I called Scott. We need husband permission, us to talk about it and approve of it. And she has to take it to the doctor. So Dr. Braubeck is the doctor at this office, and she has to approve. So she's gonna look at all of my past blood work, ultrasounds, even stuff with crews, like what everything looked like, and just see if that chance was there previously. I don't really know what all they look at, but they check everything. And she's gonna either cancel the cycle or approve of it. So I'm kind of waiting on that phone call first. Scott's like, gather all that information. Scott wasn't able to come with me today, which he was like bummed. He's like, I really probably should have been there today then. We're basically gonna wait for Braubeck's phone call, wait to see what she says. If she approves of it, then I'm gonna take it back to Scott and we need to talk about it and completely decide what we're gonna do. I feel like the chances are so slim that we should just do it. And then my other thought process is, what if we did this, we canceled this cycle, did it again next month, and we still have 3 follicles? Are we just gonna keep canceling it every time we have 3 follicles and keep taking this medicine that makes me feel like poop? I don't know. So that's where we are. I'm gonna head home, kind of think about it while I drive home. I'm sure Scott is pondering it, because when I called him, he goes, oh wow. He's a little shocked. It's later on Monday the 15th, and I just got a call from my doctor's office. Doug is gonna bark this whole time because we're downstairs and he can't see to get downstairs. I've been home with Cruz because it's Martin Luther King Day, so we've just been playing. He took a little hour-and-a-half nap. I see you, baby. Is there a car under there?
Yeah.
And now we're downstairs playing. Dad's on his way home. It is snowing again. I don't know if that's gonna like too bright to see. There it goes. It's snowing. We just got a call back from the doctor's office. Basically, they highly recommend that we cancel this cycle. They said we could still go forward if we would like, but that the risk that is out there and the measurements of my follicles, that multiples is very high, and they just don't recommend. I called Scott after they let me know. They're like, you have until we close today to figure it out, because we have to figure out what we're doing tonight. Scott basically was like, I needed to hear what the doctor said, of course, but I think we have followed every recommendation that the doctor has given us. Why wouldn't we follow this one? Which I do agree with him. As hard as it is, we are canceling. I've already had my crying session before Cruz woke up, and I am sad slash over it slash not over it. I'm in a mood. Like, I don't want to cancel it. I like went too positively into this month thinking it was going to happen right off the bat because I've been pregnant before, and I thought, oh, my body will just remember and it will just do it. So I was a little too positive. Never had this issue to where I had to take letrozole 3 different times for 1 cycle. It's all a test run. We are going to handle this a tad different this time. I already have my instructions for like what to do next. So unfortunately, I am starting birth control again tonight. And I know Dougie is just barking like crazy. Okay. Oh, he's crazy. Oh. I am going to be back on birth control as of tonight, which it's crazy to me that they use birth control anyways when it comes to like fertility stuff, but that is how they do it. It's like a controlled cycle is what they call it. So I take birth control until they tell me not to, and this time I'm going to go in for a ultrasound prior to starting letrozole. Typically they just prescribe letrozole and then you come in after letrozole to do an ultrasound, but they want to see where my follicles are. Since they didn't really progress like they should have, taking 1 round of letrozole, I had to take 3 for it to get to where it's at, and now it's like overly done, so I can't even do the cycles. That I think is the most frustrating part, that we took 3 rounds. I felt like shit for the last 2 weeks, and I thought this was because I am going to be able to do an IUI, and now they're too far progressed to where I can't do one. So that's the part that's really frustrating. But your body just like, you don't know what your body's going to do. They don't know what your body's going to do. I am going to enjoy a glass of wine this week because why not? At this point, I've been not really drinking too much. I had a margarita this weekend one, but they told me I could like casually drink. Like obviously you don't need to drink every night, which I don't. Like I don't at all. But if I'm out to dinner with some friends and I want a glass of wine, like that's what I enjoy. I enjoy a glass of wine with dinner, or like a margarita when we go to Mexican, but I'm not like drinking at home whatsoever. And I think this go around I'm going to try to cut back on caffeine. She said that what I'm doing is fine. I've run everything by her. But just, I think, to know that I tried everything better or more, I don't really know. I feel like I've done a lot to like change up what I'm doing, and she's approved of everything I'm taking, like vitamin wise, supplement wise. January is a no-go, maybe in February, so fingers crossed. On a lighter note, could you imagine 4 of these things if we had triplets? I couldn't. I just took a pregnancy test. It's still Monday the 15th. They recommend, or they tell me to take a pregnancy test to make sure it says negative, even though we know it will say negative because I haven't ovulated or anything. And they did an ultrasound today, so they would have known, but still had to take one to start birth control. So I just took that, obviously negative, and I just took my 2 days of birth control. The days are all mixed up because I had stopped this pack on Tuesday, or like the 3rd day in, for the last cycle, which we had to cancel, of course. So now I'm just picking up the active pills. It doesn't matter what day it says. So I just took Wednesday, Thursday, just 2 pills. I'll take 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow, and then back to 1 a day until the 30th. I had an ultrasound this morning. I didn't really vlog anything because it's the same type of appointment that I've been having. I basically go and get an ultrasound, get told what to do next, and move on. I didn't have any blood work this time, which was great. It was just an ultrasound to see like where my ovaries are, what they looked like. We wanted them to be quiet, so like nothing going on in there, and they were. So it looked perfect for where I'm at. I'm at day 3 of my cycle, so I'm technically still on my period, which is exactly what we want to see. I had to go get my letrozole because I have to start letrozole again tonight for 5 days, so I'll just take it today through Friday night. And same old, and then I will have a ultrasound on Monday just to see where we're at, and fingers crossed that this time my body is responding to the 1 round of letrozole you're supposed to take, and we can, you know, actually have an IUI this cycle. So I'm not gonna think too much of it. It is what it is. I am gonna start letrozole tonight after everyone goes to bed so that I can just lay in bed once I take it and go to sleep. This morning I had a follicle ultrasound where they basically took letrozole last week, day 3 through 7 of my cycle, which was Monday through Friday night, and I took those at the evening time, which is honestly my preferred way to take it because it makes me feel like crap, like literally like 45 minutes after I take it, 45 minutes, and I can just get in bed is the goal. I take it at 8, hopefully Cruz is in bed by that time and at least trying to go to sleep, and if I have to go cuddle him, I'm still in bed like cuddling, and then I am ready for bed by that time most of the time, and I just get in bed, edit, or watch a TV, or just wind down, read my book. So we did that last week, and this morning I went at 7:45 and it took a little bit. She kind of like double checked some things. Again, not a lot is happening in there, which is really frustrating. They were thinking, because last month I took 3 rounds of letrozole instead of just 1, that the second cycle, since I had to cancel that one, my second cycle, taking one round would really like kickstart my body, and they'd be like, tell my body like, let's go type of thing. And they say sometimes they see that, or most of the time they see that, where if it didn't work the first cycle, the second cycle, your body's ready to go, and like they know what to do when they have that medicine in their body. They know how to respond, and the follicle growth is larger or more. Hey Ditty girl. But my body just didn't do it, and we don't really know why. Like, not bad news, but it's not good news. So it's just news and kind of where we're at. So the plan of attack, I don't really have any dominant follicles whatsoever. I have one that's at a average of a 10, and again, they have to be upper like 17 18s to be ready for a trigger shot, to get them to a 20-ish when you actually do the IUI is the goal. So I'm like, have one that's halfway, which is not like great. So we are doing letrozole again. Actually just that's what I was doing, picking up my prescription they sent in today because I was out of refills. And we are doing double the dosage for 4 days. So instead of 2.5 milligrams, we are doing 5 milligrams. So I'll take 2 tablets of the 2.5 every night, tonight through Thursday night. So I'm doubling the dosage. I'm interested because I never had to double it with Cruise, of how this is going to make me feel. I'm trying to stay positive that it's just going to be the same as taking 2.5, but I have a feeling it's not because it's double the dosage. So Scott and I were talking about how I need to like be sure I'm fueling my body with like nutrients and like eating my meals and not skipping meals, not skipping snacks, like eating what I need to eat, get some movement throughout the day, and drink my water so that I'm ahead of maybe the headaches and the bloat that kind of comes with the medicine. And taking double, I'm not really sure what that's going to be like, but I don't know, we'll see. And then I go back this Friday, to do another follicle check ultrasound just to see where we are. The hope is that taking double for 4 days like magnifies everything, and I have some follicles growing that are at the right range. If that's the case, there's 2 different scenarios that could happen. There's actually 3. So if I go in and everything looks good and we're like kind of ready to go, if there's ones that are like in the 20s already, we could trigger shot that day. So like go to the parking lot, trigger shot. I might bring my shot with me. She said I probably would have time to drive back since I live 45 minutes and then come back. So I'm not really sure how we're going to navigate that. We might just put it in a cooler and bring it with us because it has to stay cold. So we could trigger shot that day, Friday, after the ultrasound, and then obviously you have to wait a few hours, and then you would come back by end of day to do the IUI on Friday. Now that is like best case scenario. That would be perfect, like absolutely perfect. But I'm not gonna like think that's gonna happen because I can't, because my body didn't do anything last month. So now I'm like, I'm not gonna think it's going to happen, but I am hopeful that it could happen. The second situation that could happen is I go in and things are progressing but not completely ready, so we would let them grow over the weekend and possibly trigger shot Sunday night, come in Monday for the IUI. So give it 2 more days to grow, because it's supposed to grow like, I think it was like 2, whatever the measurement is, like 2 something a day is like the goal when you're on this medicine. My body hasn't proved that, but we will see. And then the third, which is what I don't want to happen, is go in and nothing's happened. My body hasn't like progressed at all. Then I would probably do more letrozole, which I don't want to do. But if it gives me baby number 2, then I will do whatever it takes. And I know, again, this is the minimal, like this is minimal to what it could be. So I'm very thankful that this is the route we're going right now, and in hopes that it will work. So that's a little update. Ultrasound this morning, and it turns out I only had 1 follicle that's around a 13 measurement. So we are nowhere near where we kind of need to be. I just finished 4 days of double dose of letrozole Monday through Thursday. I did 5 milligrams. Last week I did 5 days of 2.5 milligrams of letrozole. I was really hoping my body was going to start responding, especially doubling up this week. Last cycle I did 3 weeks of 2.5 letrozole, so 15 days, which I guess is like 2 weeks, but 3 rounds of it. And my body overproduced, and I had to cancel the cycle because I had too many follicles. So I need that sweet line of like some follicles, like 1 or 2 that are pretty dominant, but not 3 and multiple, because it will cancel my cycle again. So, but that's okay. It's just part of it. Another another ultrasound Monday. So I'm really hoping the one follicle that's 13, that's measuring 13, it's like an average number, it starts growing. They say they grow 1 to 2, which I've mentioned before. So hopefully by Monday when I do my ultrasound, we're at like maybe 18, 19. That would be incredible. We're gonna let my body do its thing, which is exciting. I don't have to take medicine that makes me feel like crap. But I really hope I kind of feel like crap, that my body's gonna keep doing what it's doing. My mother coming in clutch. Blueberry donut and a coffee. Off to the appointment we go. I just got to the fertility clinic. It is Monday the 19th, February. And I, over the weekend, didn't have any letrozole to take. I had finished a double round Monday through Thursday. We did a scan on Friday. Everything looked good, but not good enough. So they wanted to give it time. So I gave it the weekend, hoping my body would respond on its own, and it freaking did. And I am so excited. I feel so relieved. I told Scott, like, I did it. Like, I freaking did it. My body did it. I have one that's at a solid like 20 average, which is awesome, like above and beyond where we need to be. And I have one that's like a 14, which is great. But those are my two main ones, the 20 obviously being the dominant one and the one we're going after. Trigger shot tonight, and we have an IUI in the morning. And I'm so freaking excited.
Great idea. Christy, why don't you come and help me? Come along.
It's shot time, and I'm a little nervous. I'm talking to my vlog camera and this phone. So I'm gonna wash my hands first. I'm supposed to take my shot between 3 and 4, or 3 and 5 p.m. And it is just now 4, almost 4 o'clock. So I'm just gonna get a gauze out and a clean, and I probably need a Band-Aid. I need to go get a Band-Aid. So then I have the shot, the Orbitryl. So I watched the video, I've done this before, but I wanted to relearn how to give the shot because I'm a little paranoid. So it's just one shot and comes in a pre-packaged like this. Oh, I'm shaking. I'm gonna do it on my left side right here. I'm just gonna do this whole area. I am so nervous. So you just take this off, and then you're gonna flick this so all the air bubbles go to the top. Pinch your skin and then put it in. And you're supposed to do it at like a 45-degree angle. So then once it's in, release. I'm shaking. Ow, it's kind of burning. So that's it. Okay. So, trigger shot is complete. Tomorrow we are going to meet in the morning, give Scott sample, go eat breakfast while it's being all processed, and then do the IUI. I'm so nervous.